our chalice lighting today, this evening. Our chalice is a symbol of flame in the dark, a beacon of hope in despair, a light to guide us home. It is all of these things, yes. Yet fire also burns. It refines. The searing pain of flame strips away illusions. It illuminates what was hidden, and it burns to reveal the essentials. It turns to ash all that is unhelpful, unhopeful. We gather this evening to remember the pain we are a part of, to remember the fire that brought us rebirth, and to begin again in love. So welcome this evening to this place of communal flourishing. Ash Wednesday for UUs is slightly different than it is for Christians. And this year we are doing a 7-week series on Lent, a deep dive of learning during Lent on anti-racism, anti-oppression work. And so this service launches that work. Tonight's music is all pre-recorded. And so if you find yourself knowing some of the pieces, feel free to sing along. I'd love for you to join me. I don't like being the only one singing by myself. But tonight, I invite you into this ritual space in the spirit of openness to what is possible. An excerpt from Adrienne Maree Brown's book, Emergent Strategy. This can't be the purpose of our species, to constantly identify each other as other, build walls between us, and engage in both formal and informal wars against each other's bodies. As long as we operate in time the way we currently do, there will be divergent paths that are moving in and out of alignment, in and out of conflict. Imagination is shaped by our entire life experience, our socialization, the concepts we are exposed to, where we fall in the global hierarchies of society. It is so important that we fight for the future. Get into the game, get dirty, get experimental. How do we create and proliferate a compelling vision of economies and ecologies that center humans and the natural world over the accumulation of material? We embody, we learn, but first we must imagine. We are in an imagination battle. Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and Renisha McBride and so many others are dead because in some white imagination they were dangerous. And that imagination is so respected that those who kill based on imagined, racialized fear of Black people are rarely held accountable. Imagination has people thinking they can go from being poor to a millionaire as part of a shared American dream. Imagination turns brown bombers into terrorists and white bombers into mentally ill victims. Imagination gives us borders, gives us superiority, gives us race as an indicator of capability. All of this imagining in the poverty of our current system is heightened because of scarcity economics. There isn't enough, so we hoard, enclose, divide, fence up, and prioritize resources and people. We have to imagine beyond those fears. We must imagine new worlds that transition ideologies and norms so that no one sees Black people as murderers or brown people as terrorists and aliens, but all of us as potential cultural and economic innovators. This is a time travel exercise for the heart. This is collaborative ideation. What are the ideas that will liberate all of us? The more people that collaborate on that ideation, the more people will be served by the resulting worlds.
From Adrienne Marie Brown's blog post entitled A Word for White People, in 2 parts, an excerpt from part 1, What a Time to Be Alive. Right now we are in a fast river together. Every day there are changes that seem unimaginable until they occurred. If you are a white person or a man, this is a time of unintentionally relinquishing power or having it pulled from under you. I know it seems fast and everywhere, but it's actually not a rapids, not a waterfall, not a tsunami. Most people who aren't white have in our lineages or lived experiences the whiplash of much more drastic changes placed upon us by your ancestors. Being snatched from home and shipped into slavery, weighed and measured, worked to death, lynched daily by authorities, reminded that our lives are expendable at any matter. any moment. And yes, this is true even right now, hence hashtag Black Lives Matter and hashtag defund the police. Your ancestors did not fight fair, and they didn't teach you to be in right relationship with anybody. They didn't give our ancestors time to wonder, ask for help, course correct, negotiate. This is why some say you should be grateful we seek justice, equality, and our humanity versus revenge. Because right now, after years of physical, intellectual, and cultural warfare on peoples who are different from white, you have an opportunity to leap forward, dive into this river of change, rather than be deluged and drowned in it. The time for the Nile is over. You were not raised in a secret mountaintop retreat, disconnected from the world. You haven't existed with no contact for over 400 years, so we know you see and know what's going on. And you're scared, saddened, defensive, guilty, and unsure of who to be if you aren't the default superior. So you make choices towards or away from or against your own highest self. When you say, but don't all lives matter, we hear, I refuse to acknowledge the harm I have caused you by benefiting from false constructs of supremacy. I cannot prioritize your pain over my privilege. When you say, okay, so teach me, we hear, my time and needs continue to be more important than yours. I refuse to Google and read, I demand your labor. When you say, but what do I do? It sounds like procrastination, because we have told you a million things.
The work of racial justice, of understanding oppression, of seeing supremacy in the systems of our lives is the work of healing. Adrienne Marie Brown's description of whiplash is a story of harm and hurt. So too is the internalization of oppression and supremacy by those of us who hold identities that oppress. Trauma, which is what oppression and supremacy, racism and ableism, sexism and classism are, is disconnection. It is separation from each other. As relational creatures, this separation hurts us. And it hurts us in the many ways we miss out on the richness of the human experience when we are disconnected from those that are different from us. This journey of healing is never ending. There will never be an arrival time or place. That's true likely of most things in life. But what makes this journey so important is not only our own need to heal, but the very real implications for those whose literal lives are at stake. The river Brown speaks of is not moving fast as it feels, and it is simply not moving fast enough. The casualties continue to pile up, whether in police murders, in the biased healthcare systems that do not take the health of people of color or poor people seriously, or in the school to prison pipeline. There is urgency, and we have ignored it, not only as individuals, but also as Unitarian Universalists. It's time to dive in. Dive into imagination. Dive into change. But diving into water is a physical exercise that requires some preparation of our bodies. We need to know how to breathe. We need to know how to loosen our muscles so that they are not rigid. We need to know how to trust our body to swim as we were taught, or trust others to teach us how. Doing justice work, understanding oppression, is rooted in our bodies because it is our bodies that react to the things that are said and the people we encounter. If we understand how our bodies react, we can understand how to decenter us and recenter people and the work. This is hard work in a world that says our bodies do not matter, except to be exceptional specimens of unrealistic beauty expectations. But our bodies do matter, and they matter because the work is long and they need to be fit to swim for the long haul. And they need to be fit because the fire that refines them, that burns away the supremacist behaviors and mentalities, is hot and reactive. The water we swim in, the water of change and collective imaginings, will wash the residue from our bodies, and it will do so time and again, because time and again we will make mistakes, revert to old patterns. Time and again we will need to seek forgiveness, ask for redemption, and look for reconciliation. But the more practice we receive in learning to listen, rather than react to our body's defenses and stressors, the more we can prepare for a swim when the fires of oppression rage, the more lives we will save, the more of our own souls will be healed, and the more we can imagine a future that holds us all in love. In the Christian tradition, ashes given on Ash Wednesday represent repentance of sins. But the tradition of ashes has roots even further back into the Jewish tradition. In the Torah, what Christians call the Old Testament, prophets and kings, as well as the common people, would put on sackcloth and dust themselves with ashes. In the Jewish tradition, this was a sign of mourning, submission, grief, and repentance for wrong action, and ultimately an acknowledgement of separation from God and a commitment to right action. I have to admit that I lament that some of these acts are things that we have ignored, things like mourning and repentance in our language and our rituals in Unitarian Universalism. We can believe in universal salvation, love, and acceptance, and also believe that we have done wrong and need to make amends. Universalism tells us that it is never too late to try again. Wrong action is not damning, it's an opportunity to begin again. And wrong has indeed been done. None of us can escape supremacy, whether white supremacy, male supremacy, ageism, sexism, supremacy over the earth. We have all transgressed the boundaries of love to hold power over something and someone. Our marking of ashes today is not an acknowledgement of sin or a note that we are a depraved person. This would negate our Unitarian Universalist principles and our Universalist theology. Our ashes today are a sign that we have been marked by supremacy. It's a sign of repentance, sorrow for complicitness. It's a commitment to lay down our burden of harmful systems of oppression aside. You are welcome to stay where you are at, or if you'd like, while the music plays, you are welcome to come forward and have an ash of our chalice placed upon the back of your hand.
And we're gonna sing.
Being here today matters. Receiving ashes matters. Making a commitment to jump in the water, to rise up against hate, it matters. Sometimes the most important thing we can do is to be just right here with each other on this journey. News of Unitarian Universalism is that even in our mistakes, we have worth and dignity. That doesn't give us a free pass to ignore the wrongs we have done. Rather, it offers us the opportunity to correct the wrongs so that we can offer that same dignity and worth to all people. On this journey of awakening to supremacist systems, we have power, most especially the power of each other. Together, we have the power to rise up, to show up, to be known by the company we keep and the integrity of our actions. We have the power to live into the resiliency of our faith that says love is more powerful than hate. So today, we extinguish the fire here. Its warmth, though, and its love lingers with us always, just like the ashes remain today and in our hearts forever.
Every time I feel all familiar.